And you're listening to WSYC 88.7 FM from Shippensburg University. I'm Luke Rainey. Joined alongside me is Andrew Mercier. We welcome you back to Greek Speak for Season 2, we can call it that. We're returned for the Spring 2025 semester, and we're ready to go. Andrew, always a pleasure to be joining with you to talk about Greek life.
Of course, Luke. Obviously, we started this back in the fall, and we kind of had a vision, and it's been a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to be back for Season 2.
Yeah, how was your winter break?
I worked a lot of walking. Walmart's definitely not my favorite place, but hey, it's okay, I guess.
Oh, yeah, getting that job experience always a good thing. But I was here for part of it working at the PA Farm Show doing some of their press work. So for those of you who may not know, the PA Farm Show takes place at the start of every year. It's in Harrisburg at the Farm Show Complex, and for a week and a half, they always they bring in, basically spotlight all the areas of Department of Agriculture and Pennsylvania's agriculture industry. About 500,000 people attended each year. So I got to take care of that and get a few thousand photos that I was able to take throughout the week. So it was a really good experience, but definitely something fun to do over winter break, short holidays. Hopefully those went well for everybody who's listening. I had a great time at home for Christmas and New Year's. Came back down here for New Year's, actually. Enjoyed it with you.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah. It was definitely fun having, probably a third of the brothers get back together. That was the first time we'd seen each other since finals week, so that was pretty fun. And, obviously I was just talking about how I worked at Walmart. I stayed in the Shippensburg area. Man, this area is not the most fun time. It's not the best when people aren't around. So, I was definitely looking forward to the college students returning and the semester starting to start back up. But, yeah, I saw that farm show, and I've actually never heard of the farm show before this year, obviously, because I'm from Maryland, and I've just never really been, super engaged with, PA activities. But, that's an awesome experience for you. How did you get that opportunity to go, quote-unquote, intern?
Well, a lot of it's because I've just been doing a lot of state government work, but honestly, that does tie into a little bit, I think, with Kappa Sigma. I certainly don't think that the experience at Kappa Sigma is hurt, because running the social media and getting my hands dirty with that over the past semester, and managing that, creating the promotional video, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about that at some point, one of these episodes down the line, the work we're going to be doing with that again this semester. So running that Instagram account, I honestly think it may have made a difference, because it also got me some basic photography skills, which those were crucial to have throughout that week and a half out in Harrisburg. So that was something that just came about, I think, because of a collection of experiences. But that's one of the many benefits of Greek life we talked about before, and we'll be talking about again this semester, being able to use my skills and then applying them in a professional environment.
I want to say something funny. I know that there was a video of you doing that dance.
Oh, yes.
Man,
yes.
I heard Dancing for the Stars is calling America Got Talent. They just called my phone and asked me about Luke Rainey. So, and I was like, he's a 5-star athlete, 5-star dancer.
So part of what goes on is, as press interns, there are about a dozen of us, so we have a creative side to it. And the goal is obviously to get maximum engagement on social media platforms. So any sort of trendy dance, I would say, or any sort of trendy video that you can kind of mimic was something that was on the table. So, there was this one where you're doing dances with vegetables, and I kind of led off the video. There was another one we did at the end of the week with things like that. So if you want to check those out, you can look up the PA Farm Show. You can very easily find their Instagram social media handles. But obviously that's also a showcase of all the work we did throughout the week. So it was, unbelievable experience. Nothing's quite like it, because 1 minute you're looking at the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture Secretary Russell Redding and the work that he's doing, and the events that he's attending with some of the leaders in the state agriculture industry. The next, you're watching children showcase their animals and what they've done over the past year to raise them, make them ready for show, and make them ready for sale, to be honest with you, as well. So it is a whole gambit of things you get at the farm show, and it all happens in consecutive periods. So you're doing those events within the course of 2 or 3 hours. There's nothing quite like it. It was the first time I've ever been to the farm show, so I really enjoyed that experience. It certainly made winter break a little bit more interesting than it usually is.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to share some exciting news. So over break, we were able to create an Instagram account for Greek Speak. I believe the handle is literally just Greek Speak. And we were also able to make a Spotify. So for any listeners that may want to listen to the show after or anything like that, go to Spotify. The handle is Greek Speak. But I do want to transition into a very important segment of our show. So obviously, last semester, a lot of our brothers considered it Kappa Speak because at the end it was just Kappa brother after Kappa brother. That was never the intention. The intention was to create a widespread connection with all Greek life communities and organizations. So today, I'm honored to introduce our first guest of season 2. They are our first members of a sorority. We have Hailey Mosteller and Ceila Pack. So if you guys want to just say hello and do a little bit of an introduction.
Thank you guys for having us. We're honored to be your first sorority guests on the show. My name's Ceila. I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm a current sophomore here at Shippensburg. I'm an early and special ed major, and I'm part of Kappa Delta Phi NOS. And I'll let Hailey talk for a little bit.
Hi, my name is Hailey, and I'm also a sophomore here at Shippensburg, and also a part of Kappa Delta Phi NAS. I'm a marketing major, and I'm also the PR chair for our sorority, so I run the Instagram and make a lot of the graphics for that as well.
Awesome. We definitely have a good conversation then about some of the graphic design work, because I know you do an impressive job with it.
Thank you.
On your Instagram pages. So one of the questions I'd have first off is you both mentioned NOS or NAS. What's that mean?
So NAS stands for National Affiliated Sorority, and it is meant to differentiate ourselves from the fraternity that we were initially founded from, and the fraternity is just Kappa Delta Phi. So then to differentiate ourselves, we are Kappa Delta Phi National Affiliated Sorority, and they're just Kappa Delta Phi.
That's an interesting note. I actually didn't know that, so thank you. So, obviously, a question that we usually ask everyone is, how did you end up at SHIP? What was your, high school experience? Were you ever planning on going to college? Was there any other colleges that were, up in the air that obviously got turned down and you ended up attending SHIP? So, what was your high school experience?
So I went to a small high school called Freeport. My class was only about 130 people. And it was kind of a school where everyone knew everyone just by correlation. I was never very involved, especially after COVID. I wasn't in any clubs or anything like that. But I knew I wanted to go to college and eventually be involved in college as well. I initially was looking at Eastern Kentucky University, and I never ended up touring because I toured Shippensburg first. And I really liked the school the second I stepped foot on the campus. So I kind of just made my decision there and then that I was going to be at Shippensburg. And they had a really good education program. And that's especially what stood out to me, was the fact that there was an elementary school on campus, and I knew I was going to get a good education and that I had a good setup for my future.
Hailey, what's your story?
All right, so I went to a high school that was also very small, but I was very involved. I was class vice president. I was editor-in-chief of our yearbook, which kind of got me into the graphic design aspect of things, and that's when I really decided I wanted to go to college for business marketing. It was just something that I felt like I could use my creativity in a way that would further my career and connections. And so I got really into that around my senior year, and I really was dead set on Slippery Rock University. I was convinced that's where I was going to end up. I was telling everyone that's where I was going to go, and I toured SHIP because my grandfather actually went here, and I hated it. I remember being here, and I was just like, this campus is so boring, there's nothing to do. And then I was just hangry. I ate, and then afterwards I was like, actually, it might not be so bad, and then I committed.
Yeah, shout out Slippery Rock. Slippery Rock's a great college. I know several people that have attended there and graduated from there, but we're definitely glad that both of you decided to choose Shippensburg. So obviously here you are, let's put it back a little bit. First semester freshman. Did the idea of Greek life pop up in your head, or were you kind of like, no, not for me? Like, what happened there?
So my first semester, I didn't know Greek life basically at all, and I kind of was never, like, looking into it, never interested in it. And then second semester came around, and over break I'd started looking at Instagram and kind of, like, diving into it more, and it looked like something that might, like, lead to involvement, because first semester I still was not involved in anything. And I had met some of the girls in a bunch of different sororities from just mutual friends, and kind of realized it seems like a good community. It seems like something I might thoroughly enjoy joining.
For me, my whole life I was told that I looked like a sorority girl. I looked like I was going to join a sorority in college. So I think first semester freshman, I was so, like, I didn't want to be the sorority girl. So I was just like, I'm not interested in Greek life. Like, this just isn't something I really want to do, because, you see in movies these sororities and it's just a bunch of, like, dumb blonde girls all together, you know what I mean? And I think once I got to learn more about Greek life, I learned that it was, like, so much more than that. And, like, I've built so many friendships at this point that, like, I can't imagine not being in a sorority. It was definitely a choice that I'm glad I changed my mind on.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. I mean, obviously, I'm not in a sorority, but I was told the same thing, like, all through high school. Oh, you're a frat guy. Oh, you're a frat guy. And then, my first semester, I was fighting back against that. Like, no, I don't want to be what they told me. I'm gonna carve out my own path. And then I ended up doing it my second semester freshman year. And it's almost been about 2 years now, and I can gladly say it's probably been the best decision of my life. I've learned a lot. But I do want to ask a kind of a big topic is, can you kind of explain how sorority recruitment works? It's a lot different than like IFC. Like, I know that you guys have to go around to all the different sororities and stuff like that, so can you kind of just give a little bit of an explanation of that?
So you basically hit the mark, is you do have to go and meet all the different sororities and everything like that. And there's multiple different processes to go through, so it fully depends on who you were when you went through. Mine was partially structured, and I met all the sororities, and then you end up finding the one you fit with, you find your people, and then you end up getting a bid and you end up getting in. Hailey ended up doing something completely different than I did to get in, and this semester coming up we're doing something different than when I got in. So it's kind of just, it depends on the semester, and everyone's experience is kind of different from each other. Hailey, do you want to talk about a little bit of what you did?
Yeah. So I did what is called COB, which is continuous open bidding, and pretty much I scheduled coffee dates with the girls in my sorority, and going into it, I knew specifically that I wanted to join Kappa Delta Phi NAS, and so I set up coffee dates, and it went well, and they asked me back, and then I got a bid at my second one, and so that was kind of, I think, a less stressful way if you're really nervous about recruitment or even, like, doing it alone. I think that's a nice option for people who are really intimidated by the recruitment process.
Yeah, that's quite different. Excuse me, that's quite different from obviously what fraternities do to recruit. So just to kind of put it in layman's terms, I guess your experience, Hailey, was more of you, like, if you're going into a job market, let's just say, like, you're building rapport within one organization,
right.
You're trying to interview, land that spot with that group, whereas Celia, let's just say you'd be looking at a number of different industries, quote unquote, and you're trying to just land somewhere. And then Kdphi NOS was what you end up securing. That's an unusual way, especially that's unfamiliar to what Andrew and I have experienced, because honestly with us, I mean, you can grab a ham sandwich off the streets basically and just bring them in. I mean, obviously we have standards that we follow and abide by in order for recruitment purposes, but that's kind of what it is, where it's just we're looking from the inside saying, okay, who would be great to join our organization, we find and recruit those individuals. Whereas for you guys, that process is more of, okay, where can I find myself to get into? And then how you work your way into that connection is totally different across the board. So, Andrew, I'm sure you have a couple other thoughts here you want to ask Ceila and Hailey, because we continue forward and keep discussing here, but this has been a great conversation so far. Thank you both for coming.
Yeah, definitely. I've always known that, like, the recruitment process was a little bit different. You know, I think Luke just gave a great analogy there of, like, talking about, like, different industries and stuff like that. That was just a great way to think about it, and I never really thought about it that way. But I'll kind of toss it back over to you, Luke.
Right, yeah. So as we keep going through the show, I think some of the things, we're going to talk a little bit about more recruiting, like what Kdphi NOS looks for, how our organizations have collaborated, because our organizations, in my opinion at least, are quite tight with one another. So plenty more to keep going here on Greek Speak. We'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to WSYC 88.7 FM.
Listen to Greek Speak on WSYC 88.7 FM from Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. For engaging
It's just like trying not to be
Sorry.
I'm trying not to be nervous.
Special guests every Friday at 10 a.m.
Back at it here on Greek Speak. So, yeah, I guess one of my things about Kdphi NOS is, I don't know, like, how did you guys begin associating with us, like Kappa Sigma? Like, how did you guys get to know us as far as you two personally speaking?
So I know I initially met the guys at Kappa Sigma my first semester because I'm very close friends with another brother named Michael Luzzi, and he knew all the brothers very well, so I would come around and I just happened to meet all the brothers that way and become friends with them just through association. It wasn't the sorority specifically that brought me to them. It was Michael Luzzi and just finding out, like, the guys in Kappa Sig and becoming closer with them.
Yeah, Hailey, I mean, did you have a different experience there?
Yeah, so I actually met Kappa through the sorority, which I feel like I'm always differing from Celia, but I met Celia first, and that's kind of how I really got interested in the idea of Greek life. And then I think just from there, since she started hanging around more and more, like she said, with Kappa guys, for just through mutual friends, I think I just was kind of there as well, and yeah, it just kind of happened naturally.
Yeah, I can say that our relationship with Kdphi NOS has, been like a staple of my college life. They've probably been our closest sorority over my 2 years in the organization. Obviously there's been ups and downs, but I want to work towards creating a relationship that is much higher with everyone, but especially you guys. You guys are probably one of my favorite sororities. We actually held homecoming together this past year. It was a lot of fun. Made some really cool shirts, honestly. I wear it all the time. It's a really cool, like, I guess, burgundy, maroon color-ish, maybe a little lighter. But definitely one of my favorite shirts. But, yeah, I mean, it's just been one of my favorite organizations to get together with, no matter if we're doing a pot roast, which we did last semester, and I thought that was really fun. Or, we're big on football, so, like, kind of inviting you guys over to watch football. I know not everyone likes football. We're going to be making some changes, possibly introducing, like, movie nights and stuff like that. But, we always want to, outreach the connection. We would always like for you guys to attend and, get to know us better, as we want to do with you guys. But I do want to shift gears a little bit. So, obviously, everyone's had a different experience. And, Hailey, you and I previously talked about your experience. So, if you want to talk about your experience, go right ahead.
Yeah, so this is a bit of an unusual situation with my sorority, but I feel like it was worth sharing just because, I mean, like I previously stated, I feel like there's a lot of stigma surrounding not even just sororities, but Greek life in general. And I think it's important to bring to light really what goes on behind the scenes, because I feel like it's not talked about enough. And it's not to be like, oh, look, we're doing this, but just really like the bond that you have with like your sisters or your brothers. Like, it's really something that you can't replace. And so last semester, this past fall semester, I was in a position where I was going to have to financially disaffiliate from the sorority. And it was embarrassing to admit, but I reached out to a lot of the girls and I was just like, hey, listen, this is my situation. And first of all, I was met with so much support, just being like, a lot of girls where you would never expect to be in the same situation would be like, I totally understand, I've been there. And they eventually came together to sponsor me to stay in the sorority, which I remember my big, Aubrey, she called me crying and she's like, you can stay, we found a way for you to stay. And I remember crying hearing her cry, because it was just such an overwhelming moment to have a group of people that value you so much that they're willing to go to these lengths to help you stay and help you grow. Because I know personally, being in a sorority has helped me grow as a person so much from when I first started college. So just stuff like that is something that you don't hear much about, because it's not something everyone wants to broadcast. But I think it's important to bring to light a little bit, just like I said, to show how deep the connection can really get with Greek life. And it's not just some superficial group of people that you quote unquote pay to have friends. It's a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, I definitely kind of originally had the theory of, I'm just gonna pay for friends, as you just said there. I'm sure every single person has, that thought has at least went through their mind at least once. And that's normal. And, I think that your story is truly inspiring, and it shows the strong structure, and just shows, how good your organization is, and how, sweet your sisters are in terms of, sponsoring you to stay. I mean, it means they really care about you, and they care about your future. And, that's something that we've done in the past is, we had a alumni sponsorship program where, you would just come clean with your story. Obviously, as you said, it's not the thing that you necessarily want to go blabbing about all the time, but, financial hardships happen all the time. It happens. It's life. And, that's something that we used to do in the past is you would come talk to the executive committee about it, and then we would outreach and find a alumni that would sponsor you. Obviously, that is a program that's kind of not been used in the last past few semesters, but it's something that's still there. Our founder, Don Edmondson, is one of the sponsors. Shout out, Don. But I don't know. I just kind of want to talk about, the deeper connection with your sisters, and, have you seen it help you in a professional setting at all? Because I've definitely seen it help me in a professional setting in terms of, I just had an interview a couple weeks ago, and I got a internship with our HQ for our communications commission, and I really credit my time in the organization, my time as rush chair, events chair, and then moving up to vice president of membership development. Just constantly progressing within the organization really helped me become who I am today, and helped me secure that internship. And it's something I'm really proud of, and I think it's something that you guys should be proud of, because you guys are a part of an amazing organization, and you guys are going to do amazing things. So, have you really seen it do anything for you in terms of professionally?
So I personally haven't had the opportunity for it to impact me hugely professionally yet, but I know the bond that all the sisters have with each other, there is constant support and there's constant love, and anyone would do anything for each other, even if it's something just small, or if you literally just I need a pick-me-up. I just need to feel like I'm doing okay with what I'm doing, whether it be you're struggling with school, or you're just having a rough week, or you're having a rough day. Those girls can pick you up immediately. And I know the positions you hold, they teach you leadership, they teach you time management, they teach you how to work with other people, and altogether that's going to help you in the long run. Especially being a teacher, time management's really important, and communicating with others is really important. And I feel this sorority has just really help me strengthen that part of me that's going to help me even after I leave college.
Yeah, and I think that's, you hit it on the head right there, Celia. How do you work with people? And I think one of the things is with my chair being involved with public relations for us and creating promotional video. And I talk about it a lot, but it really taught me a lot about life and a lot about problem solving and the process of what it takes to create something good. Because that was a month in the making, from August to September, from the idea coming about to figuring out how we were going to do the idea, to what song we were going to use, and getting the chapter to make sure everybody was engaged with the idea, to filming the productions, to filming things again whenever things went wrong the first time. So that it's just a tedious, mind-numbing process a lot of times, especially trying to coordinate that with everything else you have going on here on this campus, to figure all that out. And just the amount, not only are you working with people, but the amount of people you're working with is significant, because I know your organization is quite large, just like ours is. So there's really all those moving pieces. You don't learn it until you do it. But that's something you navigate anywhere in life, whether it's, whether it is here at campus in Greek life, or it is ultimately a professional environment. But I want to hear from you, Hailey, on that question as well. How has this professionally benefited you, especially from the social media angle of things?
Yeah, so this, again, is like very different answer from Celia's, but it actually, I feel like, has helped a lot, like you said, PR-wise, because like I said, I'm a business marketing major, so this is something I obviously would like to do as a career someday. And in high school, I actually worked as a social media manager for a local gym, and so I already had kind of like self-taught skills coming into college. And since being nominated for PR chair, this is my second semester doing it, I just feel like I can see my growth as I, make posts and make graphics. I feel like I've definitely seen improvement there, and I feel like I also get a feel of like what it's like to run something other than a business online. It's more of like I'm highlighting our good traits, if that makes sense. Like I'm not trying to sell us. I'm just trying to explain, like who we are and what we stand for. And so I think that's something that's kind of also important when it comes to PR. Like, you don't want to come off as like a product.
Exactly.
To your audience.
You can't directly sell something, but obviously in the grand scheme of things, the long-term hope is further success for your organization. What does that look like? It looks like increased membership.
Right.
And it looks like getting the best people. And social media is absolutely the tool for it.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, whenever I was pondering whether or not I joined Greek Life, seeing the amount of activity on the Kappa Sigma social media page, I had a lot of interest in it, obviously, thanks to Andrew. He was running the social media page at the time, number one, but then he talked to me and said, well, one of the things you can do if you get in, if you become a brother, is you can run the social media. That is a good leadership experience. But when it comes to Kappa, Kdphi NOS using social media, when it comes to you using the Instagram as a recruitment tool, what are some of the ways you do it? I'd say both implicitly and even explicitly, because I know what you post. I see what goes on, letters to PNMs, things like that. So what's the philosophy there?
So really, I love color. That's one thing that I really wanted to bring to our Instagram. I am a big fan of very colorful things, and so that's like, I remember when I was going through the recruitment process, I was looking at all the different sororities' Instagrams just to kind of see like what they were about. And I mean, honestly, like I based like my opinion off of their Instagram, and so I knew that was something that when other girls would look at our Instagram, I wanted them to kind of see that we were like a very fun, bright organization. And something I really tried to implement is to highlight more about what our sisters are involved in and what we've done for the community or around campus, versus just, just like normal everyday stuff. Like I really try to highlight the important things.
And that's where I also go to, like my thought process is just do things a little bit differently than the average. Because things such as break, recap, post, we've had all sorts of promotional videos, and they get good engagement, regardless of what the naysayer on Yik Yak may say or here and there. It's kind of a moot point anyway, because again, we get a lot of engagement. People are clearly looking at us, they're talking about us, they know we're out there, and we produce a video on New Year's Day, and again, people can say what they want to say anonymously, but that was the most liked video in the history of our Instagram account. So I don't think it was that bad of a product at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, so it's just, I always looked at Kappa Sigma as, again, the frat that broke the stereotype. For you, for example, you looked at the Kdphi Nos, both of you said this kind of is like you didn't really, you kind of had the personality, you had the interest in it, but you realize there's a lot more to Greek life than what is presented from the outside. Once you get involved with that specific organization, you realize that things are just a little bit different from what you originally heard. So there's a lot to it when it comes to that discussion, but social media is a great tool to promote and showcase the brand of your organization, and that's something that, you know, I've learned not only in Kappa Sigma, but in other professional contexts I'm involved in, and I'm sure you learning that right now gives you a lot of substance to be conversing in interviews, talk to employers about your experience, because that's what they want to hear in order to hire you for whether it is an internship or whether it is a career. So, yeah, I mean, I could go on all day about the social media and like how the way I think about it, but that's a big deal to me. That really, really matters. But we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment here in Greek Speak, WSYC 88.7 FM.
I was gonna make a joke, like, that's why I was trying to slide in real quick, because she's talking about the Instagram. I was gonna make a joke. I was gonna be like, yeah, I was reaching out to Hailey was one of the people I reached out, and I reached out to the Instagram. She goes, yeah, that's funny, because that's actually me.
No, I accidentally completely ignored him on the Kdphi Instagram.
You can talk about that. I'll bring that back up.
You told me about this, Wednesday?
Yeah.
She was like, hey, can you come with me on Friday? I was like, yeah, for sure.
We had a guest.
It's because I low-key forgot about it, and then he texted, and I was like, oh, yeah, I have this to do.
Yeah, you told me over break, and then...
Right, yeah.
That was
Make
close.
sure your kids are buckled correctly in the
Alright,
right
yeah, I'll
seat for their
switch.
age and size. Get it right. Visit NHTSA.gov.
Smash the magazine.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And we were back. Greek Speak 88.7 FM, Shippensburg, WSYC. I was sitting off to the side, and I actually I thought about something. So obviously, when I created the Instagram, I reached out to a bunch of different people. I mentioned it earlier in the show. At the end of last semester, it became Kappa Speaks or Kappa Talk, whatever you want to call it. People's schedules just got busy, and it's just kind of what worked out. And I remember going into break, and I remember calling Luke, and I think it was like a 40-minute call, and I'm like, Luke, we're not doing that again. I'm not having it. That was not why we created the show. The show was to create awareness and, you know, bridge the connection between different organizations. So I reached out. I'm not going to lie, I copied and pasted and sent the same message to about 50 different people. So I guess you're special, I don't know. But one thing that I did was I not only reached out to individuals that I knew personally, but I reached out to all the different chapter Instagrams. And Miss Hailey over there, I reached out to her, right? And I think she might have said something to in our personal chat, but then nothing at Kdphi. And I go, oh, I've reached out to the Kdphi Instagram, and I haven't heard anything back. And she goes, huh, that's funny, because that's actually me. And I go, oh, okay. So, obviously, it was break. I don't blame you. You know, get away from the Instagram. Get away from Shippensburg. I kind of did the same thing. Get away from Kappa for at least a week. That's like a record for me.
We're here now. It worked out.
Hey, we're here. We're having fun. So, yeah, I mean, I want to kind of throw it the other way. What questions do you have for us? Sorry for throwing you on the spot. I know Celia just made the biggest shocking face. But, like, it could be anything. Like, you know, or do you want me to ask something else?
No, so I kind of wonder on the flip side, like, what are some things that kind of goes on behind the scenes, like, not even maybe with Kappa, but just fraternities in general, that, like, you feel like obviously it's one of those things you don't want to, like, blab about it, but it's something that you're like, oh, I mean, this is nice, and it's something that you wouldn't normally expect to hear about a fraternity.
Definitely the, connections that you get. Like, I live in a house with 11 guys. Man, does it tick me off sometimes because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and people are still screaming. Yes, but I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. It's been a blast. It's so much fun. But just the connections like, one thing that I never would have thought about is the level of professionalism, especially with our organization. Like, once I started my term on our executive board last spring, like, it's like a job, like, straight up. I tell people, like, it's like a unpaid job, sucks half the time, it's fun half the time, depends on what time of the month you find me. But, I don't know, it's just, like, around rush week, around recruitment season, I'm running around with, like, a chicken with my head cut off, like, I'm stressed. But like, after that, I'm the fun, laid-back guy. But, just the level of professionalism, like, I was like, oh, it's just a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old men. Like, it's just going to be like, when you, like, play, like, pickup basketball, it's so, like, unserious and stuff like that. That's kind of what I thought it was going to be, and I was dead wrong. We run our organization like a business.
Yeah, and I was going to add to that. I mean, going back to the PR conversation, that's something I've really noticed about your guys' social media. It is very professional. Everything sounds very nice, and it really highlights, I think, a lot of the values of your chapter, which, you don't always see that with some fraternities, just not even, like, specifically in SHIP, but I just mean in general. So I think it's really nice that you guys have this level of professionalism, because I think it makes people want to take you a little more seriously.
So the question was, what are the hidden benefits, behind the scenes things that are good, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a difficult one to answer. Just because it's hard to describe. It's one of those, you're in it, you feel it intuitively, you know it, but like explaining it from the outside is different. I would say when it comes to Kappa Sigma, and if you're someone who's involved in a lot and you think you can't get the fraternity on your plate, you can't get like Greek life on your plate, for some people that's probably true. But for me, I was already involved in a lot, found a way to somehow add in Kappa Sigma, and I think it was good. I rushed when I did. In the spring, you become a newly initiated brother. Late spring, in April, May or so. And then in the summer, you get to start working. You don't have to worry about classes, all your other stuff. So I was able to start focusing on that and transition into the roles that I have now. So I think the hidden benefit is when you have a lot going on, you can always find refuge somewhere. So if you're involved in 3 or 4 different things, I'm in the public relations student side of America, I'm with the newspaper, I'm with the fraternity, I have an internship right now that I'm working. There's so many other different things going on with the equation. If one of those starts to go south, if there's something negative happening in one of them, which is natural, any organization has that. I mean, Kappa Sigma is obviously it's not, obviously things that happen aren't always a bed of roses, But if you're ever down bad in one, you can look to another organization, look somewhere else to lift you up, and Kappa Sigma has done that many, many times for me. So that's where, again, if you're in a lot like I am, you can manage that, and you will find that having so much to do is sometimes a great way, because you don't necessarily have time to dwell on it if something bad is going on elsewhere. I don't know how, does that answer the question?
Oh, yeah, I think that was a great answer.
Celia, what do you have for us?
What is a stigma about fraternities or just Greek life in general that you guys want to try to break with this show?
Ego, I'd say, is the first one I can think of. One of the things we teach our new members, one of the things that we value as an organization, one of the first things that they learn is about being humble. I don't, obviously I love the organization I'm with, but I'm always careful to, I have a radio show celebrating the things that we do, obviously, so I like talking about it, but I like talking about it in a way that tries to reach out to others. If you develop an ego just because you're in a fraternity, I think you're in it for the wrong reasons. If you're in a fraternity, you should be an ambassador for that organization to the rest of the campus community. The things you do outside of Kappa Sigma reflects on the entire organization. If you act unprofessional, if you're immature, if you're a hardhead in a way, and you're out and about, and people you interact, you get bad first impressions, they're thinking, well, classic, that's someone you'd expect from a fraternity. But if you're someone who, again, presents a strong, positive image, shows strong, good quality character, and obviously we all have good days and bad days. We all have lapses in character. It happens. It's natural. It's part of the human experience. But how you represent the organization matters so much, and I think our chapter really does it well. And it's because we have tentacles everywhere in this organization. The amount of things we're involved in is absurd, and I think that's what does it for us, that we do just a little bit better.
I think that was a great answer. Honestly, that was probably the other thing that I had. But the main stigma that I want to break with this is that the organizations hate each other or dislike each other. Like, obviously, there's competition. Like, during Greek Week, we're competing against each other. That's fun. Competition is healthy. It's a great thing to have. Because if there's no competition, there's no will to get no will to get better. No will to try. It's just, who cares? But like, I'm so tired of hearing the narrative of like these different organizations hate each other. Like, it's not like that. And like, obviously, kind of going back to what Ceila talked about earlier about like finding the place for you. Like, I'm sure she has a good has relationships with other organizations that aren't her own. But, like, obviously she found that Kdphi NOS was the place for her. And that's fine. I consider myself, I was in the same boat. Like, that's the thing I like about having the, deferred recruitment is my first semester, I was able to go around and meet different organizations. I met guys in Theta Xi. I met guys in PSK. I met guys in Pylam. I met guys in Phi Delta. Like, and, some of these guys I still talk to this day. Like, they're some of my good friends. Like, Anthony McCloskey, Mike Rainey, like, the two of my good friends. And, we're in different organizations. That's fine. But, like, anytime that we see each other on campus, there's always an exchange. And, obviously, if we have time, there's more of a conversation. And those are two of the people that we've even had on this show.
And can I add to that I just think it's almost ironic, because you'd think you have more in common if you're both in Greek life. So I think I completely agree with that. I think the stigma that organizations hate each other is just a little silly and counterintuitive, because it's like you would think you'd have more in common.
Exactly. I don't agree with it, and I think it all depends on the people that are in the organizations. I mean, Luke talked about, being humble and stuff like that. And if we're all coming in with a humble, like, peaceful mindset, there's no reason why we all can't be friends and work together. There's a reason why there's an IFC, a Panhell. There's people from different organizations that are coming together to govern everything and to make sure that Greek life succeeds.
And I think the best thing you said there is your competition is healthy, but not only is competition healthy, it's essential for survival. And I think this was something I remember talking. I forget who exactly what the conversation was, but the way it was framed was almost, if you do these recruiting measures right, you do it, these things to perfection, you can almost create a monopoly where you just crush the other fraternities. I don't know if we really want that, because I like the marketplace. I like having options. Some people want to eat vegetables, some people want to eat fruit, some people want to eat meat, some people want to eat dessert. Like, you have to have options for people, because otherwise, if there's just one good option for everybody, well, then the organization is probably just going to eat itself alive eventually. So my philosophy on it is like going beyond that. Like, you think about, Andrew, I know you're a Ravens fan. You probably don't like the Pittsburgh Steelers very much. However, I guarantee you those two teams have probably made each other better over the years, and it's one of the most marketed rivalries in the NFL, because they are both so driven to beat the other. So I think kind of having that rival, if there is a rival organization out there, it's a good thing. And we're looking to do the best we can, but we should also be simultaneously rooting for one of them, because the success for one Greek organization is ultimately success for everybody. Because even when, talk about the reputation, the ego, if one person messes it, if one person doesn't act appropriately within the scope of Greek life, within the scope of fraternity, I should say, it negatively impacts the fraternity's reputation, but it does go beyond that. If someone from any fraternity or sorority on this campus, or one fraternity or sorority, does something stupid, that reflects on everybody. Someone who's not familiar with Greek life is thinking, oh, of course they're the ones that wear letters on their shirts. They don't know what letters they are. Like that is a huge, serious problem. That's something that the entire Greek organizations, not just us, and we do it well, every Greek organization has to prioritize that. But we'll be back in just a couple seconds here. Again, you're listening to Greek Speak on WSYC 88.7 FM.
What time is it?
46.
Any chance we can wrap up at like 50, 52 so I can get the rolling? It's only this week and next week, guys.
Listen to Greek Speak on
He's so proud of this. It's pretty darn good. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll try and like lead into a wrap up.
Conversations about all things Greek life with Luke Rainey, Andrew Mercier, plus special guests every Friday at 10 a.m.
Back at it here on WSYC 88.7 FM. You're listening to Greek Speak, Luke Rainey and Andrew Mercier. And we're going to end the show just a few minutes early today, but just kind of one final thought is we're heading into a new semester. That means recruitment is back on the table again. And this is the question, like I always value asking this question you get to any guest we have, so I'm going to ask it once more. Both of you can answer it your own ways. Whenever you're seeking recruitment, whenever you're seeking new members and eventual sisters, what are you looking for out of them?
Honestly, anyone. Like, I don't want to say that in, like, a weird way, but, like, anyone's welcome. You don't have to have a certain look. You don't have to have a certain personality. Obviously, we want you to be nice, and we want you to be compassionate and have a leadership, like, kind of drive to you, but we accept anyone and everyone. You don't have to fit a certain look. You don't have to fit a certain personality. We want to learn all about everyone. We want to meet everyone. We're not picky. And yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, we just like everyone, and you don't have to fit to us. We'll hear you out. We'll learn about you. And we might find personality traits in ourselves that maybe we didn't know that someone else might be able to bring out in us.
Well, I mean, on a funny note, I mean, you said you lost your train of thought. It is Friday morning. Come on, it's at the end of the week. It's the end of the first week of the semester. Let's celebrate. But that was a great answer, and I think that's something that we've adopted over the past few semesters is, giving people a chance. Like I want to shout out Luke.
Yeah.
Like Luke was one of our quieter guys, quieter potential new members, and I really told him to come around. I was like, hey man, because Luke and I go way back. Like we were friends. And I was like, hey, just give it a chance, and if you don't like it, it's okay. And I brought him over, and I'm like, I told the guys, I said, he's a little bit more on the shy end, but he's really nice. Now look at him. One of the co-hosts of the show. He's had 85 internships. Going to be the president of the United States at one point. 56th president right there. I don't know. Just wanted to pull a number out. But, I don't know. Honestly, Luke, it's been an honor. And it's going to be an honor. Probably one of my favorite brothers. Just an overall great guy. But, kind of with us is, just kind of giving people a chance. Giving people a chance to come out of their shell. Because, everyone's shy at some point. And another brother I point out is Alex Stopp. He's one of our, he's an ambassador on campus, and that really helped him start to come out of his shell a little bit. But moving in with me, that was another thing. I go down to his room all the time. I'm like, hey, want to play Wii? Want to play PlayStation? Let's just sit and talk and play games and stuff. And that's really brought him out of his shell. But that's the main thing is just kind of giving people a chance. I don't want to just have 50 of the same person in the organization, you know what I mean? You guys got anything else? Any closing remarks?
All I can say is about Greek life, it's you get out of it what you put into it, and I think that, you never know until you try, and so I think it's always just worth the shot to try out Greek life.
Yep, and that's something you never know it until you try it. And again, obviously, it's one of those things where don't say no until you really learn it. That was kind of my philosophy whenever I was trying to rush Kappa Sigma was I don't necessarily like I'm going to do this until I find a reason not to, and I never found the reason not to. So that was extremely important in my experience. So I like both of your answers there on that subject, but. I think we'll put a lid on it for this week of Greek Speak. Thank you, Hailey. Thank you, Ceila. This is a great conversation, a great way to kick off the spring 2025 semester. Let's make it a good one. But thank you all of you for listening. And until next week at 10 a.m. on Friday, we'll be seeing all of you later.